Tattoo artists, yes, their reputation. No matter what they say, they're just trying to convince you to make it bigger, right? I don't want to, I won't, not even going to try to persuade. I don't pay attention to any trends. I'm not interested at all. I notice that people often, by the way, get tattoos in a state of emotional turmoil. Well, at the very least, wait 2 years, and after 2 years, you'll get a complete answer. I was lucky. That's how I found a mentor. He didn't teach me how to hold a tattoo machine. He gave me support, a comfortable environment around me. The support of the right people, it works wonders. And now it turns out I'm even older than the old man. Are you suffering? I don't know about that word. There was a feeling that we were connected by trauma. Death entered our house immediately, but in yours, it took a few days. So why do you think you still have years ahead of you? After all, no one knows how much time we have left.
We don't have a choice?
No.
Hello, everyone. My name is Natalia Shishlova. I'm an entrepreneur with over 15 years of experience, and I produce professional yoga mats. And today, my friend is visiting me. MARINA FOLEY, a tattoo artist who opened her own tattoo studio in Bali. And today, we're going to talk about her inspiring life journey. MARINA, hi.
Hi.
I'm glad to see you here. I'm happy you flew in.
Thank you for inviting me.
I'm glad you came to Vladivostok. Listen, I honestly think that you... Let's move on to my main topic. It's the topic of yoga. I believe that you are absolutely a yogi. Even though you don't stand on a mat or practice asanas, deep down you are definitely someone who practices yoga. If you could share how you feel about what yoga means to you in your life and whether there is a place for it at all, would you call yourself that?
Probably not. Maybe a kind of mental yogi, if such a thing exists. Well, how do I feel about yoga? I support people who show an interest in it. I'm absolutely not against yoga, but from it I probably only choose meditation. And meditation, for me, that's creativity. So I don't need to go to a class. Or let's say my teacher is actually someone who possesses some valuable knowledge about a particular skill that I'm genuinely interested in learning or significantly improving. And that would be my meditation teacher, a teacher for creativity, whom I choose most likely not in classes, but in real life. I just look for them.
Yeah, tell me about your teacher. I've heard a lot about your teacher in China, one of those significant people in your life who passed knowledge on to you.
I would say that he didn't teach me how to tattoo. At first, that's what I thought. But after years and years, I realized what he actually gave me. He gave me support, a comfortable environment around me, which contributed to my development. In other words, faith in a person. He didn't teach me how to hold the machine. He didn't speak English at all. He only spoke Chinese. My Chinese at that time was, I don't know, maybe 3 to 5%. That's why the support of the right people works wonders. And that's it.
But, well, would you truly call him your spiritual teacher or your guide?
Probably not. Not anymore. No. By the way, we saw each other recently. I looked back and realized that, first of all, he was also very young. But back then, it seemed to me that he was already an old man. And
how old were you?
He was 35.
And you?
Well, I was 25. I was like, wow, he's such an old man. And now it turns out I'm older than the old man was back then. So, yes, I can't really say. From the perspective of being 24 years old at the time, of course, it seemed to me that I was just at the foot of the mountain and they were all already at the top, already at the very peak. But in reality, he was also learning back then. He was also figuring out how to become better and so on. But I didn't think that way at the time. And I think that changed my attitude. And
did you ever have any spiritual teachers in your life, people who passed on knowledge to you, who helped you grow as a person? Maybe they were books or were they real people?
One of my most recent teachers is someone who is still teaching me, not just someone who taught me in the past. He has a studio. He works with neon. So neon, argon, tubes, signs, various art projects, and so on. I found him through the internet. I placed a small order with him. When he was taking the order, I asked him, "Is it okay if I come and watch how you do it?" He was like, "That's interesting." I said, "Can we do it together?" He said, "Well, I've never heard that before." "All right, come on over." So I came. And right away, our interests just clicked. It happened so instantly, it was as if we had been searching for each other our whole lives. And he was immediately ready to share all his knowledge. I mean, I found it incredibly fascinating. He was genuinely happy that he could share because he didn't really have people around him who asked him for knowledge. They would just place orders, organize some exhibitions, and so on. So he really wanted to share. And I was lucky. Finally, a teacher appeared who actually devoted time to me. So every time I go to Australia, we meet up. Or when he comes to Bali, we meet up. He gave me a gift, a sign for my studio. He's one of my most recent teachers. It's a craft that's complex, and there's still so much to learn: chemistry, physics. I'm very interested in everything. And so you told me about, it turns out, a yoga studio. There is no yoga studio yet.
About your studio that you opened in Bali, a tattoo studio. What's its name, by the way?
Aniram Studio.
Tell me why this name.
Aniram Marina. Backwards or what? And chi is the overall energy of the body. I combined these two words. And then after moving to Australia, I used it for Instagram and so on. And people started to remember it. And when I moved to Bali, I had several options for naming the studio. Well, and then I thought that after all, there was already so much energy invested in it that if you take a new name, you're starting everything from scratch, definitely. Even though you could come up with something beautiful and very convenient, something easy to read. I know that Neremcha is difficult. In some countries, they can't pronounce it at all. Interestingly, in South America, they pronounce it perfectly. But, for example, Australians, they can't pronounce it at all. 90% of my clients are Australians. So they kind of like barely manage, like, phew, you said it. Phew. That's why I kept the name as it is.
But in general, I do know about changing names. When I opened my store too, so that was my second shop, right? And in 2017,
A serious business, right?
yes, I decided to change the name for the other store and I called it My Gifts Vladivostok. That name took a really long time to catch on. No one understood that this store was also mine, and it took me almost 2 years of work to explain that we were the same thing. But when you use the same name, it's always much easier, and indeed,
The associative connection is there. It's simple. To resist the urge to call something by a new name, you just go to Google, search for the name you've been using for years, and you see a whole history spanning years, and you think, what am I doing now? Just throwing all of that in the trash and calling myself like Lyubov. I mean, especially if the name is rare, you can consider yourself lucky that you get to use it for a long time and no one tries to take it from you.
that's true. You actually have a lot of different areas you're involved in. There's tattooing,
There's
graphic design, but I think that's mostly for yourself, not for clients. So it's not, your income is just one of the areas of your creativity. Plus, you also do ceramics, you make jewelry. For example, this kind of handmade work. Today, Marisha gave me this beautiful ring as a gift.
matching. Manicure? Oh my God. Sorry.
A ring with jade. Very, very, very beautiful. Tell me, please, what is more for the soul right now and what is more for the money? Specifically, the spiritual, the material, where do you
Get it from? Everything is for the soul and for the money. Everything is for the soul and for the money. Probably let's put it this way. I separated this for myself personally, but people immediately started asking me questions. Those who work in the fashion industry, for example, and those who have some interesting projects. For instance, I said that tattoos for me are where I do custom work. Design, it's all about people ordering custom work, of course. They come to me because they like my style, but I make custom pieces for them, custom designs. But with silver, I don't do any custom work at all. That's my playground where I do whatever I want, however I want, and so on. They say, why not make a ring like this? And I say, why not? I say, maybe it's because I had that exhausting experience with ceramics when people would place orders and then it would take a lot of messaging back and forth, a lot of time spent just sitting and corresponding. I'm not against making something custom in silver, but it's really the technical aspect of all the messaging. That's what doesn't really suit me. But maybe that's just my excuse. I just like to play around there, just to experiment and do some projects, whether they're commercial or not. I don't care. I just want to make these kinds of rings. I don't pay attention to any trends. I'm not interested at all. So if something catches my eye and somehow it resonates with me and somehow it just, if it ends up in my project, well, then that is the end of it. And so I must admit it. But as for watching, looking at what others are doing or who might buy from me, I'm just not interested. I just want to simply play around and experiment, to playfully explore. And then hopefully something truly interesting emerges from it. And honestly, I can say that's my creation. That's what interests me. Like, I'll make something now, and then everyone will want it and everyone will buy it. But if it's something I saw somewhere, I don't know, in Colorado, someone came up with it, well,
In general, that's the attitude of a true creator, a real artist, at least for me personally. Watching your life and your creative work, I've always, for me, it's an inspiring example because you never looked at anyone else. You always stuck to your own path and did only what you wanted in terms of creativity, I mean.
well, what's the point of doing it if you're just copying?
Well, right now, it's just really relevant. I
just don't understand this waste
of energy at all.
What's the point of wasting energy? It's not just energy, there's also money involved. Every one of these projects, whatever it is, even if it's made of silver, it's all very expensive. And so I'm going to create a ring that I haven't experienced, that I didn't come up with myself. And then I invest in it, cast it in silver, and all of that, carving it out of wax. And then I say, look, Natasha, check this out. And you're like, wow, that's so cool. You're so talented. And I'm like, okay, thanks, but this isn't really my creation. My creation.
I understand because it's like a
quiet.
Yeah, I'll share my experience too. When I was creating Zen yoga mats, I had the exact same story. I realized I needed a product that was truly about me, that was about myself. So from a commercial point of view, this is probably not the most profitable position but
it's still more interesting to invest money this way.
Absolutely, because when you do,
it's fun. It's more fun this way.
Yeah, I've tried a lot of things. I also make clothes for the chest.
Your mats are really yours. I really like them.
I like them too because they are born entirely through me. All the meanings pass through me. But I was just playing around with the clothing in the chest, and for me, there was this commercial aspect, so that a tourist would come, understand, and buy it. Because if I do it the way I want, most likely, I would have to spend a long time explaining why I made it that way. So it's really like art as well, an art space of sorts, but all of this requires additional marketing where you have to explain exactly why you did it this way. And people need to somehow get to that point and fall in love with it, right? So it's not mass production, it's not a mass market product. For example, with jewelry, if you make a star or a moon, you know that people will probably buy it, right? So, and
the sun as well.
The sun too, yes, definitely. Yes.
Experience has shown.
Experience. Exactly. And it's the same with rugs. When people ask me, could you make this or that? Like the phases of the moon, or could you make some mountains? I say, look, that's already been done for you. It's already on the market. Just look a bit harder. Why are you asking me to do something that is just not my thing at all? For example, I don't really know much about the phases of the moon. That's true. And for me,
it seems like the longer you stick to your own path, the fewer of these kinds of questions you'll get in your field. These people, they'll just disappear with those kinds of questions. By the way, I hear from people, they say, people ask me what my tattoo means. I say, the last time I heard something like that was probably sometime back in 2000, I don't know, maybe 2010. So I just don't get asked that question at all.
What do your tattoos on your body mean? At all?
No one asks me. But it turns out people in your circle do ask. And I say, well, that means you have a circle that asks you those questions. And if you change that circle, if you move away from it, then people won't ask you anymore. The moon cycle, it won't even occur to them to ask that because they'll be, well, I know she won't do that. Why would I even ask that?
Well, actually, after a year of my work, there were fewer of those questions. Now, it's already been 2 years. Yeah, it's been 2 years now. And of course, there are even fewer of those questions. So tell us about tattoos. That's your main activity, your main commercial success, I guess you could say, after many. By the way, how many years have you been doing tattoos?
A little less than 15 years, I think.
Do you possess any significant tattoos on your physical body that hold some profound, deeply personal, or even mystical meaning for you? Perhaps something that truly resonates with your spirit?
Yes, all of them, all my tattoos.
Are they all connected to going through certain cycles in your life, maybe?
Each tattoo is connected to some cycle of life and the energy that was invested or important at that time, some story that was significant to me. So I've noticed that people often get tattoos when they're in an emotional state, by the way. So something very serious happened to them, something that really shook them. That is, they get a tattoo while riding that wave of excitement. And I think it's also the tattoo artist's responsibility to catch that and not take too much advantage of it. Because that's exactly the state when a person wants something much more, and so on. So it's not exactly a manifesto, but more like a protest or something like that. And you can gently say, wait a little bit, let's just do a small amount here for the time being. And then you can certainly come back in about a month or so, and we will definitely do a bit more, and so on and so forth. I see this happen quite often. And of course, that's my story too. Many of my tattoos were done at a truly pivotal moment. Something significant happened, or something quite similar to that, and it genuinely shook me. For instance, my prominent chest tattoo, I absolutely never ever planned to acquire something quite like that. And then later on, after, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 years, I started to realize why I made that choice. And at the time, it made no sense to me at all. Why did I feel the urgent need to do it?
Can you share that? Tell us why it happened that way.
Why did it happen? One of the reasons was that I felt this way because I had just become a mom. My child was 6 months old, so it was something new. I'm living a new life. I have a new role. I'm becoming a parent, right? I mean, I don't know anything. Naturally, everything is completely new to me. And already, all these books say, they spell it out, that when this happens to you, not only is it pregnancy, but then there's also this feeling of vulnerability. You become very dependent on what you're experiencing for your child, wondering if everything is okay, worrying about yourself, worrying about everything. You have heightened, what is it? Anxiety.
Excitability.
Excitability, yes, exactly, sleepless nights. So you are completely overwhelmed by these feelings. So it feels unsafe, it's unsettling, and so on. Well, your hormones are changing. And the tattoo that ended up on my chest later, years later, I read that these are actually protective symbols that were used in Slavic culture. There were goddesses who had these kinds of symbols, like fences on their chests, by the way. I had no idea about this at all. So I urgently needed to get these kinds of fences on myself to protect myself somehow. And it happened literally just like that. Like, I wake up and I urgently need to do this because maybe there was some kind of signal or something. I don't know how to put it, maybe intuition, that I needed to build some kind of protection around myself to get through this period, probably the time of becoming a parent. And so I ended up with like these ornaments like people have. I say it's all fences around me. There are a lot of proportions here for me. And I guess I'm protecting my mental health. One of those initial compelling guesses that truly came to my mind was precisely why I actually did it. So it wasn't for beauty, not for looks. That's the last thing.
That came to my mind. So it's an intuitive thing, right?
Absolutely. All my tattoos are intuitive. I never think, oh, this will look pretty on me. Well, there are a few, of course, but it also seems to me now, that's what I think after all these years. Again, a fully developed version will come to you later explaining why it happened. Every tattoo, and that's what I tell my clients, at least wait 2 years. And after 2 years, you'll get the full answer. So you don't need to look for the meaning right now, so to speak. You won't find it, you're inside it, you're living through it. Then you need to let it all cool down, process it, and then you look at it like you've read it. In a book, like, oh, so that's what it was. So
Does it turn out that a tattoo appears in people's lives from the subconscious, more or less?
yes, 100%. And when people say that it's me somehow influencing them, I say no. I can do something, sure, but really your consent, you're coming here, that's your choice, that's your own calling. And well, I don't really want to interfere much. I don't have any desire to be some kind of super influencer. So I say, it's your choice. If you want a tattoo, well, I can probably guess why. Because I already have some statistics, right? And yes, people come on their own and make their own choices, even though they say, do whatever you want, do anything you want. But when a person agrees, meaning they connect with this idea, everything had already been decided before that. So all that's left for me is just to do it. Everything was already decided before us. Our decisions now are just a formality. It was already necessary. It was already meant to happen.
So you truly believe in this particular idea, probably, that we genuinely don't have any real choice at all?
No.
Wow.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
So it turns out that we as human beings basically don't choose anything ourselves. So does it only work that way with tattoos?
It's just this word choice. It's like being hit on the head with a brick. You get struck. Well, it's just about how you put it, right? So, for example, when a person intuitively follows something, even when they say they have no intuition, well, I don't agree with that. Yes, everyone has some kind of gut feeling and so on. But some people just accept and acknowledge, yes, I have this, while another person thinks that they themselves decided something, that they did it all on their own. It's just a matter of what you call it.
I also have a story related to you about a tattoo, and I want to share it. Right here, I have this, my first tattoo, which was done by you.
A long time ago.
Yes, it's a beautiful iris, and it was completed in the year 2015.
By the way, I found the drawing for that tattoo yesterday.
For me, it was just dirt on my body. I thought that only convicts got tattoos. Yeah, that normal, decent people. At that time, I considered myself in that category. Decent, good girls didn't get tattoos. And then I met you. We'd been friends for about a year, I think, but it was more of a working relationship. You used to bring me cargo.
Is that a whole separate story?
It's a long story. Let's not get into it. We
Don't have enough time. Yeah.
We don't have enough time to tell that story. But the point is, you were leaving for China, and at that moment, I had grown really attached to you. I mean, I was so sad that you were leaving for China, and I wanted to keep at least something, a little piece of you with me.
And I
Still remember it that way. I wrote to you that I wanted a tattoo. But what did you say? What? You want a tattoo? I said, well, yeah, because you're leaving and I'm so sad. I just wanted to get a small tattoo to remember you by. And you said, well, come up with something, decide what it will be. And I didn't really think much about what I wanted. But at some point I was driving and
I remember that story exactly. I even know where it was, on the military highway.
Yes, on the military highway.
On the left side.
Yeah, I saw a banner.
Why is that stuck in my head? That's what I need.
Of course, I remember that banner. Yes, I see those irises and I realize there's nothing left to decide because that's it. That's what I should have on me. I text you, I want an iris. This will be my first tattoo. So I come to your house and you show me a sketch, and this is actually an A4 sketch. Well,
Iris.
I look at you and say, what do you mean? This is my first tattoo. I actually wanted it on my fingers or, my legs.
On the fingers, on the pinkies.
Legs. I was really bold and daring at that time. She says, fingers, legs, I want this tiny iris. You say, are you out of your mind? Well, it can't be like that because it's disproportionate. You start explaining it to me from your point of view, but for me, it's just white noise. I'm standing there. I can't hear anything you're saying. I just realize either I trust you now or I leave. So there are two
options. It's like with tattoo artists, right? Their reputation is that no matter what they say, they're just trying to convince you to make it bigger, right? I say, I know you think I'm just going to talk you into a size 4 right now. That's our reputation. Yeah, well, that's it.
Well, turns out that's exactly how it worked. But in the end, I just realized that it's useless to resist because you've already made up your mind and I wanted it. So it turns out there was no choice.
You're just following your fate.
Yeah, and that's how I got my first tattoo. I think that for many people who come into your sphere, this confident aura of someone who's a master of their craft, they just don't have any further resistance. They just do what needs to be done.
Yeah, that's true. But first and foremost, I always want to emphasize it's your choice. It's your choice. I'm not persuading or forcing anyone. That is to say, the first responsible step comes from the client. And when you put it to a person like that, because people sometimes don't think about it this way when they decide to get a tattoo, convince me, tell me, do I want it or not? I say it doesn't work like that because I already have this much responsibility. To do everything right, choose the spot, help, develop the sketch, tattoo, maintain sterility, and so on. And on top of that, I won't be taking on any more responsibility. And the very first thing is that you decide to choose me. That's the most important thing. Scroll through all the Instagrams, look at what's there, what. That's it. That's the first step you take toward me. And after that, we start working together, collaborating, developing the design, and so on. Without that first step, nothing will happen.
It's interesting that you never promote yourself. You never, ever since I've known you, you never advertise yourself, never say that you are
The best. When? Always? Look at my Facebook accounts.
I mean, you always, every week. Now, the entire Russian reality is facing the fact that it's impossible to advertise on Instagram and similar platforms. But I understand that you don't need to tell people directly, buy from me. In other words, you yourself should embody your product. Are you
talking about that?
Yes, yes. And then, of course, a person sees you as already a character they want to aspire to, maybe even join. Like I, for example, at some point wanted to connect with you through a tattoo. So, this whole story with promotion, how is it for you in general? To promote your product, to sell your product, is it appropriate or not?
It's fine.
Is it easy for you?
It's fine. But first and foremost, I wish for everyone who is involved in any kind of business, any kind of production, that they love what they do. And then it's not difficult at all. That's why all my silver jewelry, we've run out. Love went with them, those pieces of jewelry, off to be melted down. This year, I melted down kilograms of my jewelry that could have been sent to stores somewhere to be sold. My name is on them, my stamp is on them, but we no longer have any love for them. I mean, it could have been handled differently because melting them down is also an expense after all.